Well, thank you again for that wonderful performance. Such a variety of music and wonderfully performed. So I wanted to start us off by asking about your partnership. So you've been playing together for quite a while, I understand.
You want to take it?
Can you talk about how you got started playing together and maybe if there are some highlights, interesting memories, funny stories that stick out as part of your partnership?
Well, once upon a time, I'd been in Eastman for a while, and then this fantastic guitarist was invited to Eastman to start a guitar department. So he began the whole guitar department at Eastman from the very beginning, and I didn't pay much attention to it. But then one day he knocked on my door, my studio, and he said, "Hi, I'm Nicholas. I think we should play together, and here's a whole lot of music." And handed it to me, and that's the way we started. And her first performance was for the International Guitar Society, and I just about had a heart attack. You know, everybody, that's a very discerning audience. So I think that's how we began, and I was tapping my foot the whole time, trying to keep the beat, very difficult music. So I think, right? And Nicholas could tell you some more.
Okay.
We had a very funny tour to China right before, which would be, there's some very funny stories. Should I tell one of them?
Yeah.
Well, there was this day. So we played in 20-something cities in China. We were there 5 weeks, something like that, right before COVID. So there was this one day when Nicholas wasn't hungry and he wanted to sleep in the afternoon, and I was hungry and I wanted lunch. So I decided to go find my own. And I found this old lady, and she had a stand, and she was making food. It was absolutely delicious. It was completely divine. I should let you tell the rest of the story from your side. So anyway, I had a lovely lunch, and Nicholas will tell you the rest of the story.
Okay, so I get in the van. They came and picked us up at the hotel. And I thought, oh my gosh, this driver has been eating garlic. I mean, the place was just, I was asphyxiated with the smell. And then we get out of the van, we get into the dressing room, and I thought, oh, he must still be here. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just a thing in this town. And we get up on stage, and Bonnie's flute is pointing at me, and it was so strong, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's her. And she must have gotten some delicious garlic soup, and it was just coming through the flute.
He said he was wilting the whole concert. I was just blowing it at him. Very funny.
But there's a lot of real interest in music there. There's these big halls by the Poly Group that are just springing up all over the provinces like mushrooms, and they love it. And it's kind of, for many of them, it's the first time they may have gone to a classical music concert, and their applause is like these little butterflies, but they're wonderful. They're really wonderful people, and I think for many of them, like when we were up in Mongolia, I don't think they had seen people that we didn't really blend in.
They kept looking at Nicholas, and then they'd talk, and then they'd look at him again, laugh, and...
But anyway, we've loved playing together, and we've made a few CDs together, and had a chance to travel and develop this wonderful repertoire. Which I have to say, being Greek, I'm very proud that all this dates back to ancient Greece, with the aulos, which is the earliest version of the flute, and the kithara, which is the earliest version of Pythagoras's invention. And so we feel kind of like, a tradition that dates back to ancient Greece. And the flute and the guitar tend to work together because they're so different. That's a pretty long answer.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the audience? We thought we might kind of go back and forth between the audience and me. Okay, great. That's a good question. Why do these two instruments work so well together?
You want to say something?
Yeah. But I could say something about from the flute standpoint. So flute tends to, something about the range of the flute tends to be, a lot of it is absorbed by, say, a piano. So when flute and piano play together, a lot of lot of our colors and nuances are kind of sucked up into the piano sound. It's unavoidable. That always happens, and I'm always surprised when I hear somebody's recital and they've been playing with piano and then they play alone after that, and it sounds so much bigger and so much fuller and so much more interesting. So it just so happens that the plucked instruments have the same really effect as if we were playing alone. They don't somehow absorb our sound. So that would be harp, harpsichord, and guitar. And so it's just, for us, it's a pleasure. It's more than a pleasure to play with guitar. And of course, with him, it's the greatest pleasure. So that's one way they work together. Do you have more to add?
I have my
Okay.
own microphone. The only thing that I'll add is for the very illustrious guitarists in the audience tonight, and I'm happy to say that there are a couple, they'll know what I'm talking about. The guitar is sometimes it's a stringed instrument, and sometimes it's a keyboard instrument, and sometimes it's a guitar. And so what I try to do, and especially when I play with Bonnie, is draw on all those three elements. And sometimes you hear portamenti that you can't do on the harp or on the piano or on the harpsichord. And sometimes I try to do the counterpoint that you can do on a keyboard instrument. And sometimes, the rasgueados and things like that are just unique to the guitar. So I try to bring as much orchestral sound as possible and support what Bonnie's doing, in all of her colors. So we try. It's really all about color. Hope that helps.
Is there another question?
Are there any other guitar flute combinations besides you?
Are there other flute and guitar duos is the question.
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, more and more and more, all of our students are playing. Both of ours. They were constantly playing together, and some of them are staying together, and there are a couple of other professional duos for certain.
sure, yeah.
There's a lot of wonderful music, and a lot of new music is being written. A lot of music's been written for us and others, so it's really expanding.
And it's because of the repertoire. If composers hadn't taken up writing for flute and guitar, and it really started in the 80s. There was some stuff before then that was quite good, but a lot of it just like there was an explosion of repertoire in the 80s, and that's what got this thing going. It was repertoire really determines that there's going to be, like with string quartets, they have this great repertoire. Otherwise, there's not much to it. But because they have some of the world's greatest things written for them, string quartets have a big life. We're kind of moving in that direction as well.
You mentioned the different roles that the guitar plays, and I was wondering if you both could talk about some of the special effects and interesting different techniques that you use. We heard many of them tonight.
What, do you want to go first, or shall I go first? Okay. Well, you heard flutter tonguing. Goes like, oh, that into the flute. And
Can you do that again?
No. and then you heard we vent the keys when I was making like wind sounds, that kind of thing. There are alternative fingerings, so we can use I must have touched. Is there, okay. There are other fingerings that make different timbres, different colors. So you probably heard some of those changes. And then there are things we call harmonics, where we're playing a lower fingering. It should be a lower note on the flute, and then we blow a different way. It's kind of like a trumpet has to do all the time with just 4 buttons. We have all these keys, but we can overblow a certain way and get a number of notes above that principal note. So you heard a lot of that. Did I miss anything? Okay.
Some pitch bends. You did some pitch bending as well, I think.
Yeah, I did. I did do that, yes. You're right.
For the guitar, there are some effects that composers love to use. One of them is, the guitar plucks, but also it strums. So there's these patterns of strumming that are coming right actually out of flamenco tradition called rasgueado, and you use different patterns to make that happen. You probably heard some of that. Harmonics, which is not pressing the string down to the fret. I think you had mentioned this earlier tonight. The strings are just touched at the point of the harmonic node, so they go up by intervals. And they call it pizzicato, but everything the guitar plays is pizzicato, so it's really kind of a misnomer to say it's pizzicato. There's another word for it is étouffé, which is you you put the palm of your hand down by the bridge of the strings and you pluck it. It just kind of sounds more like a cello playing pits, which just goes, boom. And so there's that. And there is some pitch bending when the composer asks for it, some quarter tone things here and there. But yeah, that's it.
You did some percussive effects as well.
Oh yeah, called tambura, like tambourine, but tambura means you hit the instrument in certain places. Yeah.
Great.
I have a question. Why do you wave your guitar around at the end of that piece?
Try to imitate you. It's because you're playing, ooh, so I'm trying to do that. Did you like it?
Oh yeah, I like looking at it.
Okay.
We had a question over here.
A couple of sort of strangely guitarish kinds of questions. First, I wonder if you've ever thought about amplifying, like playing electric guitar along with the flute, and what kind of differences that would make.
I have amplified a lot, and in fact, when I first came in here tonight, I thought this might have been a good place for me to amplify because I didn't know how the sound was going to be. But as it turns out, it's quite a lovely acoustic in here. But I do amplify. I've got a wonderful system that I use when the halls require it, or if I'm playing with a string quartet, or certainly with a concerto, I will always amplify. I love the feeling of amplification. But I don't play electric guitar. I did as a kid, and.
Does that change the nature of the music you play together? You have to adapt to that, or you can just do it as long as it's only a matter of accommodating to the hall?
It changes the way you play a little bit because the response is different. But it doesn't change the repertoire or how we would interpret the music. But it is different because the sound is you're driving a different sort of a machine when you're amplifying. But amplifications become very good. And in fact, like Segovia wouldn't do it. He thought that it just sounded terrible. And in fact, back in the 40s, it rather did. But I'm sorry, I'm not using my microphone here. But I do think it's gotten very good, and it's better to play with amplification rather than having to play, fortissimo with a crescendo all night. So we all use it, we guitarists, so we think it's great.
So the guitar player's okay with this. How about the flute?
It really has never been a problem because Nicholas balances it so well. Some of the halls, for instance, we played in China, couldn't believe 3,000 seats and 2 balconies, and everything is velvet seats. I think they used the theater for other purposes. Gigantic stage. I mean, stage is probably the size of this whole room, and then the backstage 4 times bigger than that. And there's no. We were just like a little tiny, drop in there. So he absolutely had to amplify, and a couple of times they gave me a mic as well. Because otherwise you just completely lost it, and the acoustics were awful. But then other halls were stupendous. So,
This is a question from the audience, specifically about Canyon Echoes. Is Canyon Echoes a nature American Romeo and Juliet or West Side Story?
I think probably both. It's very good. That's right. Isn't it sad? It's so sad.
It's exactly like Romeo and Juliet. Yeah. Yeah, I think her sense of painting, like with the last movement, I'm supposed to be the horse. And the beginning of the second movement, after Bonnie plays, you have this little guitar thing that goes, beat-a-bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. That's the leaf floating down into the stream. And the painting, the tone painting is remarkable, but the story is really at the heart of it. And in fact, when we first looked at this piece, I got Bonnie the book, The Flute Player by La Copa. And it's a wonderful, lovely book. And Catherine Hoover did a great job, I think.
I have a question. As a fellow professor now in my own right, I just have to say a little autobiographical moment that I entered Bonnie's studio in her first year, 1977. It was one guy and three girls, and I didn't know what had hit me when I came to a conservatory. And you see that smiling face? That's what kept me going for 4 years. And I just want to ask both Nicholas and Bonnie publicly, what are the greatest challenges of guiding young talent?
You go.
You're first.
Wow.
I'm going to see what you say.
You know, as it turns out, it's kind of the honor of my professional life. I've like a lot of good musicians in here, I've played a few good concerts and made a few good records. But as it turns out, at the risk of sounding like Mr. Holland's opus, it really is the honor of my professional life to see these young people who, especially later, when I see them years later, and I see the seeds that I planted, but they've grown, and they've grown into these extraordinary people that have enriched my life and enriched the people who they work with. It's an incredible experience. How do you do it? It's customized teaching. One size never fits all when you teach, especially when you teach really, really good players. And sometimes we're very lucky to get very strong players. You have to just kind of work with what they bring you. And the things that they bring sometimes are quite remarkable, and what's missing is where you have to go. And you have to make sure that there's precision in their playing. You have to make sure that there's heart and the ability to communicate and inspire, and to have the acumen to build audiences, because a big part of what we do here is audience building. And so you hope that people want to do all of those things, but it's a triple career. It's performing and teaching and recording, and then hopefully some administrative work that adds to the profession.
So I feel quite similarly, actually. I never started out to teach at all. If you'd asked me when I was 21 or 18 or something, probably, do you think you want to teach? I would have said, no, absolutely not. You know, I was just too self-centered. And to want to do that, it was all about, me playing. And I look back and think I really didn't realize. So it began for me unexpectedly, and I would just say that I feel like working with another person and their life and what they helping them achieve their dreams is so much more important than any concert I could ever play. Concerts are wonderful, and I always hope we bring joy in the concert, but the impact and the relationship of working with another person it just far surpasses that. So it's an incredible privilege to work with great young talent like that person sitting here. That they're going to be some of the greats in the next generation, and without question. And so it's an incredible responsibility to make sure, I feel it's an incredible responsibility to make sure that they have all the tools that they need for the gift that they have, so they have the vehicle for it. And I always describe it like everybody's got this golden box inside of them, and it's my job to find the keys to the box and to bring out who they are. So I love picking characters. A lot of times, I love when somebody stands out, their character stands out and their personality. I think we can always fix problems in the playing, technical problems, but they have something to say. And when you get up on stage, you need something to say.
Yeah. It's just, for me, this is like, it's system overload, because I sit here only because she picked me out of nowhere when I didn't know what was good. And tell them what I'm not trying to make this about me. This is a big honor for me to bring you both here. This has been one of the highlights of my career, to see things come full circle. But the things that she noticed about me, the thing that a good teacher does is notice something about you that you don't know.
first of all, it's a fulfillment of my career to see what you're doing. So that's the other part of that. So I remember Rick's audition like it was yesterday. He came in the room and the hair, I could not get over the red hair. It was unbelievable. And then it was like a light bulb had walked in the room, and it was just.
I didn't think you were going to say this.
It was everywhere. It was just this light bulb was going off, and all this energy, and wasn't perfect, but it was so incredible. I couldn't get out of my mind. I went home to my husband and I said, there was this guy. He had red hair, like the reddest hair I've ever seen. It was orange, and he has this huge personality, and the place is just lit up all over the place. He said, you have to take him. You have to take him. And I said, oh, I'm going to take him. So that was how it was.
So I feel that because of her, Absolute Music by, extension has grown. And only this week, she keeps giving me a reflection on myself that I've never gotten anywhere else. Oh, I always knew you were innovative. I went, really? Didn't I? So it's nice when other people notice things about you that you don't know. And she is a master at this. Yeah.
Oh. Well, it's a blessing. It's a blessing that I get to work with people like this. And yeah, there's another one here visiting.
Who happens to be now a member of the Chautauqua Symphony in the summer. So I worked with him when he was a student of Bonnie's and studied with me for 2 years, and now sits beside me in the orchestra. So the lineage is very powerful. Very powerful.
And there's a great guitarist over there, Brad DeRoche, who's the head of music at Delta College in Saginaw. And he's a great player. I'm glad he's here. I'll just add one little thing, which is, choosing students is kind of like choosing a mate. You're choosing who you think they're going to become, not who they necessarily are right now.
How does that work?
It's a long
You need a whole team of therapists for that one.
Are you serious?
It's a one-on-one relationship for us, and it's long-term, many, many, many hours spent together. So it really is unique.
Are there any other audience questions? Any questions over here? Anyone?
Can I just close to say that this has been an extraordinary privilege for me to host you both here. I've gotten to know Nicholas through an extension of her relationship with Nicholas, and we're fast friends, and I hope that will continue. And I can't say enough about this woman and her influence in my life and the lives of countless students, almost 50 years of teaching, starting in her 20s. And she's ever an inspiration, both personally and musically. And I just love you. And I'm really glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Yeah. I mean that. I really mean that.
We've really enjoyed being here. You all are very, very unique, and the level of knowledge and questions is really special.
Thank you all. See you at the next one.
Thank you all.